Our final speaker is Fabrizio, who comes from basically the federation representing SMEs throughout Europe. And Fabrizio is going to give a number of examples of eco-design from the detergent and cosmetic sector, and is going to speak in French. So I think that is on line 3, if that hasn't changed.
C'est bon. Bonjour, merci à tous.
Good morning, and we've lost a microphone for the speaker.
Il n'était pas allumé. Merci à tous.
Sorry, it wasn't switched on. So thank you all very much, and thank you to the organisation and all of you for listening to us. That's the correct date. I'm going to be speaking to you on behalf of UEAPME. We've lost a microphone again for the speaker. There does seem to be a problem. I'm going to be talking to you about products of the future, which is today's theme. Maybe you're familiar with UEAPME. I'll just say something very briefly. UEAPME represents the crafts sector and SMEs in Europe. We have 85 member organisations in Europe, representing 12 million enterprises employing 55 million people in Europe. So it's quite an important organisation. Now, you probably don't know me either, so just to tell you that I deal with detergents and cosmetics. Anything that foams is of interest to me. First question, do we have a problem? Detergents and cosmetics, are they causing a problem to the environment? Well, yes. Here you've got consumption in raw material over a period of time. You can see, for example, probably if you're at the back of the room you won't be able to see these, but I hope you trust me. 1960, soap. This is a natural product from renewable sources. It's perfectly biodegradable. In Europe, it was placed on the market to the tune of 1,101,000 tonnes, and the synthetic detergents 1,200,000 tonnes. So pretty much the same figures, really. Now, moving forward to 1986, the quantity of soap on the market in Europe was half, 684,000 tonnes, so a 50% drop there. But if you look at the synthetic detergents, there's been an increase, a 17-fold increase, almost 8 million tonnes of synthetic products on the market. Is all of this going to cause a problem for the environment? Well, obviously, yes. There have been a series of analyses that have been done to prove this. There are some countries that have better results, but if you look at countries such as Italy, for example, well, there, between 6 and 14 grams of surfactants, which are not biodegradable anaerobically, in the sewage sludge plants, and so on and so forth. But we don't have that much time. I've got a lot of things to say and not much time. It's not only detergents that cause a problem. Often one thinks wrongly that cosmetics don't pollute, but in fact it's quite the opposite. Here are a few examples. Polycyclical musks, for example, that you get in perfumes, phthalates that you have in plastifiers, antioxidants, and so on and so forth. So all of these molecules, solar filters included, these are molecules that you find from the anaerobic part. They're found in rivers, lakes. The anaerobic part is the part where there's no oxygen, so it drops to the bottom of the rivers and the lakes. We don't just have a problem, obviously, of pollution of the component parts of the product. We've also got a huge amount of waste being produced. Now, each of us produces 500 kilos of waste per year. That's domestic waste. But industry, to produce the products we use, industry produces 3,500 grams of waste per year. Then looking at the raw materials, we see a figure of 16,000 kilos per year. And if you take into account resources, it's 50,000 kilos a year. This comes from the Association of City and Regions for Sustainable Waste Management, and they're going to be speaking this afternoon. So if you have any questions, you can go along to their presentation this afternoon. So that's where this data comes from. Now, if you look at the products that we use every day, then one realizes that a toothbrush, for example, weighs 1.5 kilos, a mobile phone, not from Nokia, following on from what we've just heard. In terms of waste, 75 kilos, if you consider its life cycle. A chip at 20 kilos, and my PC, which is why I'm very tired in the evenings, 1,500 kilos in terms of the amount of waste it represents. Now, if we're thinking about eco-design, for a normal product that everyone has in their homes, such as a washing machine, you can focus on all of these elements. But just to give you an example of a formula, for traditional washing powder, for example, calculated with a calculation sheet used normally in the EcoLabel areas. Here you use fatty alcohols, which are synthetic. We use the molecule that we saw earlier on. We use fatty alcohols, short-chain fatty alcohols. All of this means simply that these molecules attach themselves to fish in rivers, and the fish can no longer breathe. So they're very toxic substances for the aquatic world. Now, I can do something to affect this. I can change the most polluting substances in here and process them. And we'll see the results that we can have from that. Each dose of detergent produces 4 grams of 9 non-biodegradable substances. But if I change the molecules, the most polluting molecules, then the toxicity drops by half, and you no longer have non-biodegradable materials in the environment. Just to show you an example of something that was very successful in Italy, the co-op label rather. Their washing powder, what you can see there, this has been the most successful product for the co-op. Now, not everything is running smoothly. There are still some work to be done in order to facilitate the eco-label. For example, as far as we're concerned, that's to say myself, detergents and cosmetics. Well, detergents, yes, we have to have one single instrument, working tool for detergents. Because at the moment we have lots of different instruments, and that's very difficult. We have to reduce the complex nature of application files, because for an SME, if they have to fill in 51 pages of an application form, it's very difficult for the people. We also have to take action in terms of the cost of performance tests, because for small companies, quite frankly, they're far too expensive. We have to avoid certain disparities in terms of different data from different countries on the same product. That's a technical point, but I'm coming to the end, Martin. Just one more minute. I would say to all of you, journalists, associations, there's one thing that we need as regards EcoLabel, but which is fundamental. It's crucial. That's to say, we have to promote EcoLabel. People need to know about it. They have to know that this brand guarantees a very limited impact on the environment, and one which is, has been calculated precisely. So I think I've stuck to my timetable. Thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy the rest of your work.
Thank you very much, Fabrizio. Just before we go into questions and discussion, I just thought I'd just pull out a couple of key points that to contextualize things that at least I'd picked up. So, yeah, the key thing I picked up